Family is the central unit in Tongan life. Traditionally, Tongans lived in extended families. A typical family unit may consist of adopted children, cousins, and other distant relatives, alongside siblings and grandparents, with older persons commanding the most respect and everyone being cared for from the oldest to the youngest.
Here in Tonga, they've never had social services. The general thinking for probably most Tongans, not only here in Tonga, but overseas also, is they feel that the Tongan culture is so strong in terms of their family values that they are out there taking care of their elderly.
Tongan culture believe in the extended family setting where everyone helps each one, where parents, grandparents, aunties and uncles help to support each other. That is the belief. The 2011 population scan showed that 100,000 of Tongans live overseas, which has the same number of Tongan remaining here in the kingdom. The statistic has multiple implications, and the anecdotal evidence showed that the elderly suffer from neglect as a result of this.
From what we are finding out there is that many of our elderly folks in many of our villages here in Tonga are being neglected and being left alone to fend for themselves.
Still, the mindset of looking after our elderly is still there. However, we found people with no one to look after them.
A project called Social Protection of the Vulnerable in the South Pacific. It's a regional project which includes Cook Islands, Tonga, and also the Marshall Islands. And it also is funded by the Japan Fund for Poverty Reduction and the Asian Development Bank. Initially, the project was conceived through the Government of Tonga, looking at ways that they can support and strengthen our communities. And essentially, they wanted to set up a type of social protection program. September 2011, we began consultations in the three major island groups in terms of if we were to provide a social service, who should we provide it to? And through our national consultations, there were two areas that came out. Number one, children with disabilities, otherwise known as early intervention. And number two, elderly care services to the elderly or aged care. So today, the NGO that is providing both services is Ma'afafine Mo Family for women and children. They are providing the services to the elderly, and they're providing the services to the disabled. As part of the project, we were going to create the capacity and do the training and do everything necessary so that they can provide quality services to our pilot areas.
Tools. These are not standardized tests.
For the early intervention, the services that are being provided for children with disabilities is early intervention.
The pediatrician then diagnosed the child with the disability, and then we start working with them. It started with the case manager going and visit the family and the child at home and see the overall health of the child, talk with the families, and if they agree, we come to the house and do the initial assessment according to the child development, which is following their milestone according to their age.
We can lend them the toys.
Oh yes.
And then because after we give it to them, they'll get bored with it, and so we pass it around.
Once we get all those informations from the parents, then we start to do an activity program for the child according to our findings. And then from activity program to home program. This home program is specifically for the parents to work with the child at home.
Bye-bye.
One of the important things that we do at home with the parents is to teach them, because even though we're working with the child, but in the future the parents need to know what to do, so that's one of the important things that we are teaching the parents.
We also have case management services where the case manager will be able to connect this family and the client with all the different services that are available locally, provided by the churches and provided by the NGOs.
To tell us what they want, because it helps with the development growth.
Yes,
if they're
yes.
not well fed.
So this project has looked at the most vulnerable. So we're talking about elderly clients that really have little or no help at all. Many of these elderly clients, their kids move overseas and they stay here, and so when they send money, they may send money to an uncle or an aunt, and sometimes that money doesn't get to the family member very often.
In order for it to keep going, to get the hokoatuing hours.
Some of the town officers refuse to support, refuse to give us referrals of elderly clients. They say that the elderly clients in their village is well looked after. Therefore, they do not need the services. And I believe that's why some of the town officers refuse to be part of this project, because they still believe in the old setting of Tonga, in the family extended setting in Tonga. I think that is why. It's not because they do not like the services, but because of their belief and the cultural setting, that we highly respect our elderlies, that we want to look after them, that we give the best to them. That is no longer in many of the cases we work for.
The services to the elderly is focused more on aged care. So the NGO staff will visit an elderly client once a week and give them a bath, clean them up, clean up the house, maybe cook them some food. The aged care services also has a case manager, and they will also connect this elderly client with different services that are offered by churches and offered by NGOs.
So far, the case manager, we identify the needs of clients. When we found the needs, we go out, we call, we talk to business people, to other organizations, and ask them if they can help. Of help we get, it's through networking, through phone calls, and talking to people that we know. And some of the people in the community have opted to help us. So we have to go out of our ways to gather help, or to talk with people, or to go talk with other organizations. And we are currently doing that.
One of the key pieces to the services that we're providing, our approach is more of a holistic approach in terms of including the government, the NGO, the churches, and the villages in providing these services. The NGO can't do everything, the government can't do everything, and sometimes families need help. So the key to this is getting more of a holistic approach and gathering up all these stakeholders, and then using these stakeholders to support our disabled clients and to support our elderly clients.